welcome to this episode of John's Motorcycle Rescue and Review. Today I am once again with my 1983 Suzuki GS1100E, and I have just recently gone through and I've tuned the carbs on this bike. Not only did I synchronize the carbs on this bike, but I also tuned the air-fuel mixture screws on these. I richened those up a little bit. I'm now running about 3.5 turns out. In a few minutes here, I'll gear up and we'll go out on the road for a test drive, and we'll look at the low-end throttle response and see if that's improved. And we'll also do a 40 to 80 mile an hour roll-on. I have found a more level venue to do my 40 to 80 mile an hour roll-on tests at, and so that's the one I'm going to be using going forward. Because I have switched the venue and it's not quite as uphill, what I'm noticing is that my elapsed times are lower automatically because it's more level. I will continue to update the roll-on comparisons between the bikes. I think that's just kind of a fun test to do, and it'll show also if I've made a modification to a bike, it'll show if it's an actual improvement or not. All right, enough talk. It is time to get out and test ride this bike to see if the changes that I made have improved the performance of the bike and the rideability. I'm going to gear up, I'll bring the camera along. How does this bike ride and drive now? Let's find out together. Let's ride.
I am currently riding Suzuki's mighty 1983 GS1100E, and I have just synchronized the carbs, and I've also tuned the air fuel screws on this bike. It seemed to be running a little bit on the lean side, down low and right off of idle as you were going along, and now it seems to run much smoother. So I'm going to go for a little bit of a ride here, get the bike up to temp, make sure everything runs like it should. The carbs were not far out of sync, but I have dialed them in as precisely as I can. And previously at this speed I had a significant stumble before. It wasn't terrible, but it was noticeable, and it definitely seems to rev quicker off of idle at a stop, and it pulls really nicely even from really low RPM.
Alright, there's nothing like a successful test drive. It really seems like the low-end carburation on this bike is cleaned up a bit now. It seems like it's running really nicely. It's running like it should, and it does seem to pull better throughout the rev range, especially at the low end where it was a little bit off before. Given that it is a new venue that I'm doing my 40 to 80 mile an hour roll-on tests at, I will have to wait till I have some more tests done there to see what my times are for my other bikes. But at this point, this bike now holds the record for the quickest 40 to 80 mile an hour roll-on test that I've done so far. I'm sure some of that is the venue, but I think the changes I made also contribute to that. All right, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, enjoy the ride.